Off Track is book 2 in the Nashville Fury football series, and it released today. Do you want to read Chelle's bio for us?
I do. Chelle is a contemporary romance author who writes happily ever afters with a lot of love, with a little bit of humor mixed in. She's a diehard Cleveland sports fan, is the owner of way too many not yet enough tumblers, and will be a New Kids on the Block fan until the day she dies. She also does her best writing at Starbucks, where you can usually find her a venti caramel frappuccino on her table. And yes, you might have watched her on TikTok. Which we'll get to those tonight. We'll talk about your TikToks, but those are so funny. They're so fun to watch.
Give me just a second. I'm having some technical difficulties.
Leah's having technical difficulties, so I'll just go on with the rules of the night. So those of you that are watching us live over on the YouTube, feel free to comment in the chat, give us a hello, let us know that you're here. We will ask all the questions that you put all your questions that you have for Chelle in the chat. We'll do our best to get them all answered for you guys. In the description of the video are the links to all the places to connect with Chelle. If you follow, like, and subscribe at the end of the night, one lucky person will win a swag-filled box from us. So look, I even have a box.
Ooh, we're fancy tonight.
I know, right? So of course, stickers, because we all know how I feel about stickers. Like your Tumblr addiction is my sticker addiction.
I'm good with that.
And then I have coffee. It's called Yogi and Boo Boo. It's from my favorite local small batch roaster here in my town. This is a whole lot of caramel with a little bit of chocolate flavoring. So
that sounds good.
Super, super yummy. And then we have a small chocolate company here in Ohio, or here in Findlay. And these are Deets Brothers chocolate covered pretzels. There's a dark, a white, and a milk in there. They're to die for. I will send you some. And of course, for you, I have a straw. It's a like a rubber straw, and it says "Keep calm and sip on." So
where did you find those?
It came in a book box that got sent to me. So. I'm totally a regifter, people. If you know me, I'm a regifter.
So I'm a reboxer.
A reboxer?
All of my shipments that go out, I have never bought a box. They are all Amazon boxes that are resent. And the post office lady tried to make fun of me for it one time. And she goes, "Why would you send it like this?" And I go, "Why wouldn't I? It's a box."
I mean, it's a box. Nobody
cares. It fits. I'm worried about the planet. No, I'm just cheap.
So my girl child, I was early on in the process of me shipping things out. She's like, "Don't you need to get some brown paper and cover it? Because it's an Amazon box." And I'm like, Nope, I don't. They can think they got an Amazon package, and then they're going to be surprised when it's fun stuff from me. So.
Well, and they don't get upset about an Amazon package. I was at the post office one time and someone tried to ship something like a beer box, and they're like, "You have to scratch the label out." And they're like, "What?" So they stood there with a Sharpie and were scratching it out. But anyway, back to this. So, hi, Carolina. Hi, Jennifer. Hi, Danica. Welcome. You did in the description part, right? Sorry, I was not paying attention.
In the description part, they'll find all the links. And I also, I'm going to put them in the chat. We're kind of a mess tonight, Leah.
It's not. It's Thursday. It's not a mess.
Okay, we're not a mess.
We are usually way more organized than this. I apologize. But anyway, so let's kick things off in our traditional way. Chelle, what are you drinking tonight?
I'm drinking a Truly lemonade. I'm trying to find the ounces on this bad boy. 24 ounces.
Just the biggest Truly I've ever seen.
Wait, isn't that like a tall boy?
It's literally a tall boy of Truly, yes. Yeah. I have a tall boy of Truly.
There you go.
It's the way to be. What about you, Becky? What are you drinking?
So I asked what kind of drink I should drink tonight, and Chelle suggested a Bushwhacker. And we did some research on it because, we're weird like that in this house. It actually was basically a chocolate flavored pina colada early on.
Yes.
And for whatever reason, it's now been adopted by the city of Nashville as their household drink. And my husband's like, sweetie, this is basically like a Frosty with vodka. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'm in. Totally is. Or is it rum? It might be rum, not vodka. I think it's rum.
But it's a Frosty with alcohol.
Yes.
Yeah,
but if you're gonna, if you're gonna think about Nashville, it might be known for country music. It's also known for bushwhackers.
I have
I could
questions
get on
about that
that.
name, but we'll talk about that later.
That might not be suitable for the YouTube.
For the YouTube. We've said things on the YouTube.
We do say things. Anyway, so Becky is going to put in Chelle's Instagram in the chat. So if you are not following her on Instagram yet, you have the link. Hi, May. Hi, Lynn. Michael made Lynn a tequila sunrise.
Yeah, we gave her
That's so nice of him.
alcohol. It's my mother. My mother is Lynn. For those that don't know, Lynn is my mother. She's very supportive. And
So
she drinks a lot.
Chelle, let's kick this off. Are you a reader of romance?
I am. I'm very much a reader. Not as much as I used to be when, at least for me, when I write, especially if I'm really on deadline, I think I just stare at too many words during the day. And then when I go to bed at night, it's like, no more words. Words are bad.
Words.
Bad words. But no, that's, kind of how I got into this was I started reading, really picked up reading romance probably around, and I only know the year. I'm not this like weird date person, but I moved away from home for a job in 2014. So it was the first time that I was away from family and friends and really kind of out of my element for the first time in my life. And for some reason, my gateway drug was 50 Shades a few years prior, but then I had read a little bit here and there going along, and then kind of just dove in then when I had moved away because I really had nothing else to do, and just started immersing myself and found these authors. And next thing I know, I found this thing called Kindle Unlimited, and I was like, oh my God, I could save so much money. And I'll be honest, I read some books. I think we can all say this. I don't think this is a great secret of the romance world. There were some that were just absolutely, they're still my favorite books that I read back then. And there were some where I'm just like, I could do that.
Well,
and it always kind of stuck in my head. But this whole thing started because I dove into romance head first a few years back.
Well, and love or hate 50 Shades of Grey, it actually did a lot for the genre. I know people have very clear opinions on it. I've been a lifelong romance reader. I started stealing my mom's books at 14, and she read romance at the time, and it's just become an obsession for me from there. But when 50 Shades of Grey hit, it was the first time that people would say, oh, what are you reading? And you'd be like, oh, I'm reading 50 Shades. And they'd be like, oh, I read that too. And then they would be like, I really liked it. And then I would be like, oh, if you really liked this, then you should read this, and you should try this, and you should try that. So love or hate it for what it is, 50 Shades of Grey actually, I think, did quite a bit for the romance genre.
Well, I think it was finally that point where people were not ashamed to say that they read it because it was so popular and everybody was talking about it. Everybody was just kept jumping on the bandwagon, so to speak, but they found it, so they read it. And everybody was reading it, so everybody talked about it. And then it kind of went down the romance rabbit hole, so to speak.
Well, and I'll still say I think the success of 50 Shades of Grey had everything to do with Kindles and iPads. You couldn't see the cover of what people were reading.
I actually think that was the last series that I bought in paperback.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't that, I was like that summertime reader, so like, and every once in a while, if a book really stuck out to me, I would go buy one, but I wasn't reading enough to get an e-reader. I didn't have a tablet back then, it wasn't like today where, oh my God, you don't have a tablet, or a computer or something.
Man out.
Yeah. So I think, honestly, that 50 Shades was the last, and I remember this, I was visiting a friend in North Carolina, and I don't remember if it was between book 1 and book 2 or book 2 and book 3. but I finished the one like I thought it would take me all of my vacation, and I got done with it in a day, and I was like, we're going to Target and I need this book. So yeah, and then from there, that's when I downloaded. I think I started on iBooks actually,
Mm-hmm.
and then transitioned into my Kindle app.
Yeah. So what's your favorite trope?
So I read contemporary pretty much flat out there. In terms of like trope, I love a single dad romance.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why, but I'm a catnip for that one.
Every time
I can't. I actually, people find this funny. I don't read a lot of sports romance.
Really?
Even though no.
See, and we're the girls of hockey romance. Everybody that knows us knows that we are like insane for the hockey romance.
No, I don't. I'm a former sports writer. That was my job for 15 years.
Okay.
And so I am very picky of like, I know it's fiction, but then there's
still,
like,
it's not fiction at the same time.
Yes. Like that's just unbelievable. No, you might as well have the unicorn come down too, because that's actually more believable than that. So I'm actually very picky in terms of the authors that I will read with sports romance, just because some I was just like, I can't, sorry. Yeah. So it was actually very funny when I decided to write sports romance, because one of my best friends was like, you bitch about it all the time. Can I say that?
Yeah, you can say it.
You're okay. Good. I was like, we're drinking. I figure I can say bitch.
We're not suitable for work. We're good.
She was like, you complain all the time that, that some don't do sports romance right. Do it the way you want to do it. And so I was like, well, that actually kind of makes sense. But no, in terms of reading, I love the single dad, the friends, lovers. I like the mushy gushy stuff. Like I have to be in a certain mood for like a dark or a suspense. I love a good suspense every once in a while. But like the mafia books, again, I just have to be in that kind of mood. But the rom-coms and those lighter ones, those are my kryptonite.
Those are your go-tos.
Yeah.
What is a trope? We do. I love suspense too, but I'm the same way with like dark or angsty. Like I have to be in the right headspace.
So
there are still books.
Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry. There are still books that are like in that angsty category that I've wanted to read forever, that I just can't get the stones to like just sit down and commit. I didn't read Long Shot by Kennedy Ryan for so long because I knew it was just going to emotionally wreck me. It was a day off of work, and I'm glad, because I was just blubbering mess.
Carolina wants to know, who is your favorite sports romance author, since you're kind of on the pickier side about them? Do you have a favorite?
Megan Quinn is definitely up there. And I know it's more of not a common one. Amy Dawes' Harris Brothers series is one of my favorites of all time.
I love those.
And she does incorporate a good amount of the soccer and football. Yes. So I generally, Megan Quinn's baseball series is fantastic. There was a 3 series by Samantha Christie I really liked. Benching Brady was one of them.
Yeah.
Catching Caden. I don't remember the third one off the top of my head.
Stealing Sawyer.
Like those. Yes, that was it. I enjoyed those 3. But again, I have to read the author first. And it's like almost like that trust level. Yeah. Like, do I trust you to be able to do that? Natasha Madison. I love all of her hockey stuff.
Freaking Nico. We are still like, what? We're like 6 weeks out from that release, at least. And we are still like freaking Nico. Yes. Anyway.
There was stereo when we said it the first time.
That last book she wrote.
Oh, yeah.
He broke us.
He didn't really put us back together. We just love Manning so much, and then Nico was just such a douche canoe at times, and it was hard.
Good God.
Anyway, we digress.
Yeah, so those are mine.
May wants to know, what was your favorite thing about writing Davis? So Davis is the main character for those of you that are joining us that haven't read Off the Track just
I'm gonna
yet,
beat her up.
because it just released today. Davis is the main character in Off the Track, and so Carolina says hashtag freaking Nico.
I saw that.
We're such a mess. So May wants to know, what was your favorite thing about writing Davis?
Davis. So Davis, the backstory of Davis and Bethany was they were not supposed to happen. Like Bethany's unexpected pregnancy in this book, which is not a spoiler, it's the trope, so I'm not giving too much away on that one. This book was also not supposed to happen. And then just the characters kind of came to life in the first book, and people were like, "Oh my gosh, they're in the next book, right? They're the next book, right?" And I'm just like, "Sure." I didn't give him a first name in the first book because that's how unimportant this character was supposed to be. So in a joking with the joke with May's question will be me figuring out what his real name was, which I'm not going to give away because it's actually
it's like a character in itself.
Yes, it became this running joke in my reader group, and everybody was like, is it his first name? Is it his last name? Is he white? Is he black? Like, nobody knew about Davis, but they were super intrigued by him. And I'm just like sitting here going like, what does everybody think? Because maybe I'll get some ideas because I don't know what the hell he is either. So, I mean, that was a very interesting and fun part to come up with this, just because, again, he was supposed to be such an insignificant character that I didn't even give him a first name. And then he ends up being the hero of the next book. But in terms of him as the character, I love the guy who is more than meets the eye. Like, his whole thing is, I'll fly under your radar and then I'll get to do my thing and you won't expect it. Yeah. And so he was the fun uncle of the football team. He was he was the coach that would go out to the bars with the players and, but nobody knew that he actually had an MBA and was taking care of, had like his, all these different fires going around because nobody would think that.
Well, he really kept everything close to the vest. Like, he didn't talk about a lot of anything.
No, and that was, again, not the spoiler, but that was all from his childhood and how he grew up. So it was just very, I'm a plotter. I pantsed a lot of this book just in terms of, because I was like, I don't know this character. And here's even a little fun note that I don't even think I've said this in like my reader group or newsletter. The chapter that Davis was first introduced in Off the Record in the first book, originally they were at this sandwich shop that's across the street from the Fury facility. And it was Hunter, who was the hero in book one, and Davis and Martinez, who was another coach. I literally just picked two random names out of a hat. And one of my early beta readers said, you're starting to get too many characters, side characters. Start pulling some back that don't need to be there. Great feedback. Sure. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo between Martinez and Davis.
And Davis wins.
Davis somehow won, and next thing you know, he got a book. So sorry, Martinez. You didn't even make it off of the rough draft, and Davis got another book out of it.
He got like hit by the backspace button while Davis gets like a whole stinking book.
Exactly.
So funny. So speaking of Chelle's newsletter, I'm going to put the link to join her newsletter up in our chat. If you are not getting Chelle's newsletter, you totally should sign up for that. It's a great way to keep track of her upcoming releases and things she has going on in her life. Do you share your Target hauls in your newsletter? Because I know you are a Target shopper. Like,
I am a Target shopper. I haven't been there in a while. Maybe I'll go tomorrow.
It'll be like a present for yourself.
I went to Target on ARC when I sent out the ARCs.
Okay.
Just to keep me away from Goodreads. Like, I realize you can't read my book in 45 minutes, but I think you can, and I'm going to hit refresh massively on the ARCs. So I just went to Target to distract myself.
I mean, and it's Target, so you could spend hours there. I online shopped at Target today. Does that count?
We don't have a Target. Our town sucks. I had to drive 45 minutes to Target. Anyway, that's my sad story. I'm sticking to it.
That is depressing.
It's so depressing. Anyway, Leah, what's the next question?
But you have Meyer.
Yes, we do. We have Meyer's.
Meyer's great. I love Meyer.
Their wine selection is phenomenal.
What is Meyer?
Well,
I'm sure Pennsylvania here. But...
It's a kind of bougie Walmart. But it's like Walmart, Meyer, Target. In terms of the bougie level.
I'm a huge Kroger. Now, here in Findlay, we do not have a Kroger marketplace, but I would like a Kroger marketplace.
Is that like the super Kroger?
Yeah, it's like a Walmart, but Kroger. I like Kroger because they have the best cheese. They have a great cheese variety. You get all the fancy cheeses at Kroger.
I do love good cheese.
I'm a big fan of the cheese. Anyway.
In more ways than one.
Anyway.
So, Chelle, what is the best part of writing romance?
Oh, probably not the anxiety of release day. Definitely not that.
Is it the blurb?
It's definitely not the blurb. Actually, I decided I would rather write blurbs than ad copy.
Fair.
Because it's one of those things where you're like, you want people to, you want to be enticing and buy my book without coming off like a pompous, snobby
or like
person.
A greasy car salesman.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
Like...
So, and you only have to write one blurb. If you get it right, you only have to write one. Ad copy, you kind of got to keep going through that. It's really nice just to be, no two stories are going to be the same. Mm-hmm. So you could write, I have a book planned, the fourth book in this series, for example, is I've had this title in my head. It's called Off Limits. I've had that in my head from the beginning of this thing. It's going to be a brother's best friend, little sister, that kind of trope in a football series. One of those came out a couple months ago. Same title, same trope, a football team. I don't know if it's professional or college. We could have the same trope in the same title, and it can be a completely different story. Mm-hmm. And that's Absolutely. So great about this genre. Like when you say, what's your catnip? What's your trope? You could read single dad books for every day for a year, and you will never get the same story twice.
Yeah.
And that's just a really cool thing about, I think, especially about this genre and writing in general, just that no two stories are going to be the same. No voices are going to be the same. So I might want to be like, I want to be the next Amy Dawes. I'm never going to be as funny as Amy Dawes. I could try to write some sports humor like Amy Dawes, but I'm not going to be. But some people could love Amy Dawes or hate me or love me and not like Amy Dawes. And that's just how that's not bad. There's something for everybody in this. And I do enjoy that part of this world.
I like it too. I like the romance world because I also think that there's a level of acceptance within the romance world. As far as different people, your different kinks, your different likes, I love a secret baby. Not everybody likes a secret baby. We have friends that read that would prefer there never be kids in their books. It's just not their gig. And that is 100% cool. Because I'm okay with that. I don't care if there's a kid in it or not, but if you hand me a secret baby, I'm going to read it. And again, not everyone is the same.
Well, that's what it was interesting to see those reviews when they started coming in for this book, because secret baby for me is a trope that I don't have a strong opinion on it as a reader. Mm-hmm. I could, now if I see a book where I'm like, oh, they didn't use a condom. Baby's coming. So, again, it doesn't matter to me. I don't have a personal feeling, but it was very interesting to see how many people said in the early reviews, this is my catnip trope, or I usually don't go for these, but either they liked my first book, so they gave this a try, or they saw me on TikTok and thought we'll give her a whirl. But it was interesting to see, especially with this trope, how two sides of the fence there were. I guess, and I don't know how many, I guess there are for the dark ones, obviously triangles and cheating, or people have very strong opinions on that when you get into those. I don't think people have a very strong opinion, yes or no, on friends to lovers. But
I do actually.
But you read them.
I read them, but to be honest, friends to lovers and enemies to lovers. If I have to read them, I will read them, but they will not ever be my go-to read. Part of my problem with enemies to lovers, it's like, ooh, I hate you. Now let's really fuck, and now I love you. Like, it's like, okay, didn't really work like that. My problem with friends to lovers is sometimes I feel like friends to lovers can come off a little incestuous. Like, you've been so close, you've had this relationship, and never in a moment in time did you feel an attraction to this person. Was there never a mishap where you maybe blurted something out or sent a text?
You never got hard around her before?
Right? Right? He didn't like make your heart pitter patter or whatever. So yeah, most people know I have very strong feelings about friends to lovers. Give me instant connection. I thought I was
picking a safe trope.
Yeah, no, it's okay. Give me instant connection. But I'm also the person that loves billionaire romances. And lots of people have very strong opinions about billionaire romances. So, but there's lots of books, and not every book is for everybody. That's my little catchphrase.
Exactly.
So, Chelle, what made you make the leap to write your first book?
I had a midlife crisis and quit my job.
Like, just quit?
Yeah, pretty much. Breaking the bushwhacker. I'm only slightly exaggerating. So I burned myself. I was a journalist. I was a sports editor for 15 years, moved all around the country, got to do some awesome things, but I burned myself out. In 2019. I'm like, I felt myself declining. Right. I was unhappy. I was not in any way, shape, or form living a best life. And I actually decided I'm going to leave the industry and I'm going to get my master's and I'm going to become a teacher. I do enjoy the journalistic process. I still believe in local media, and newspapers, I believe, are very important to democracy in this country, but I'm not capable anymore of giving myself to the industry on a day in and day out basis. But I enjoy working with interns. I enjoyed going to colleges and speaking to students. So I was like, all right, I'm going to get my master's. I'm going to quit my job. I moved home, moved back with my parents, and got into a online master's program. And I'm like, I'm going to bust through this in 2 years so I can get a college job. A few colleges said they were ready to hire me. I just needed the master's. That was in 2019.
Yeah.
So in between then, Corinne Michaels had posted that she was accepting submissions for the Salvation Society world that she was creating. And at that's when a lot of the worlds were starting to become big, with Christy Bromberg's world, and Vi and Penelope were doing theirs, and Corinne was going into theirs. And I'm like, and she had put specifically, she was considering never published authors. And I was like, I had only written chapters here and there when I was bored. I had not written a full book. I think I had maybe 3 consecutive chapters in a book that will probably never see the light of day. And if I went back and read it today, I'm sure I would think it's absolute crap. But my beta reader, who's now my beta reader now, she was like, apply. What else are you doing? You're going to school, you're working. I teach dance as my part-time job. Like, what else what do you have to lose? Try it. No shit, she said yes. So it was like, amazing. Okay. So in like 3 seconds, I had to have a website. I had to have social media profiles. I had to have the whole gamut. And so I was going to school and then started writing Reformation, which was my debut, was published last September. COVID actually kind of helped me because I was already online for school, but because they had so much other craziness that all of my professors needed to take care of on campus, they were like, oh, you don't really need to do that. Here, skip this week, turn this in. Like, it was I swear to goodness, I probably got the easiest master's degree in the history of master's degrees because of COVID.
But it worked out.
But my dance studio shut down. I was everything else. So it was like, well, yes, I write. And so I got the book done actually 3 months before I was supposed to, which I know a lot of authors didn't have that luxury because they have kids at home. I'm not married. I don't have any kids. So where COVID really hurt a lot of people, it actually helped me in a lot of ways. I was able to write a lot more than I probably would have if I was working full time. So yeah, it was one of those where I was semi-employed and changing careers anyway.
You took a chance.
And I shot my shot, and Corinne said
and
yes.
It worked.
The rest is history.
I read Reformation actually just a couple days ago to prep for this, and I liked it a lot. Like, I thought that Garrett, I didn't like him at all at first. I was like, how is like she gonna make him likable? Like, what is going to happen? But I just, his growth and his change of character throughout the book, like, it was well done. I liked it a lot. Thank you.
I was there's like the top, I can't get it to go away, but the top review on Goodreads is 3% DNF. Guy was a douche.
Oh, nice.
That's terrible. 3%.
I'm like,
that's not even giving it a chance.
And here's the best part is that I didn't create him. Corinne did. I was the one who had to undouche him. Corinne douched him.
Right?
This is all Corinne's fault.
That should be Corinne's like hatred, not yours. You
undouched him well. You undouched him well.
You know, it's interesting.
It's just
really interesting that COVID was so great for you because, you know, we hear from different authors at different times, different interviews, that COVID's been really hard for them. And then I sit here silently and think, COVID's been really awesome for me. We wouldn't have this platform had I not had COVID, you know, I didn't have COVID, had I not been at home. Because I already homeschooled, I was already working in the industry, but all of a sudden we weren't, you know, going out to dinner all the time or, you know, hanging out with friends all the time. So I had this spare time and I'm like, how can I build the romance genre up? And, you know, we came up with the podcast and since created this.
It's why I joined TikTok. I was bored in COVID.
Okay, speaking of TikTok, just so you know, you have a huge fan in Avery Flynn. She and I were chatting today.
Are you serious? I love it.
Yes.
I'm fangirling right now because I love Avery Flynn.
She and I were chatting today about some upcoming stuff that we're going to do. And she was like, she goes, I see you're having Chelle Sloan on. And I was like, yeah, she's going to come on. We're going to celebrate her release. And she's like, I love her on TikTok. She's hilarious. I'm like, I'm telling her. She's like, please do.
Fangirl right now.
No, I did the same thing.
She's like, you're talking to her? I'm like, yeah, I'm trying not to be a big
I was so
mad.
I was like, I want to talk to her.
She's the best, though. We interviewed her for an episode of the podcast. And she's so amazing and so down to earth and just
and I totally fangirled like in front of her. And I was like, yeah, that's happening.
If you have the chance to hang out and talk to her, she's amazing.
So let's see. Who is saying what? Jennifer, if I disappear, it's because we're under another tornado warning. Oh, that's no good.
Be careful in Alabama. Those I saw they were coming through in Bama.
May says she kind of hates you on your timing, but you're amazing. And then, let's see, Jennifer says she's so glad you took a chance. Reformation is so good. And Susie is here also, and she said, finally, a positive of COVID. I agree. And Julia was complaining that they don't have Target or Trader Joe's up by her.
So I'm going to share Chelle's TikTok since we've started talking about TikTok. I'm going to share it in the chat. If you aren't following it, we highly suggest it. It's super fun to watch.
Here we go.
I go down the TikTok hole and lose, all the time, like all the days, hours, just hours gone.
And then she shares them because I am not on the TikTok. I just get
before we get to what Chelle does on TikTok. Have you watched Hot Mess Express Pinky? She's the Indian lady that wears the crowns.
Yes, because I want to send her a Hot Mess Express cup.
She is
Shameless plug.
So funny.
hoot.
So funny.
Welcome
So
to
great.
my channel, Pwens. I love
To
her.
my channel.
Like, and she's always with her chapstick. I don't like
It is
chapstick.
in that little microphone.
Little mic.
Welcome.
I adore her. Anyway. If you're not watching Hot Mess Express Pinky on TikTok along with Chelle, you should totally be doing it because she's a hoot. With her panty pack that she wears up, like, clear up here. Anyway.
And she had her 2 tiaras on the other day.
Yeah, because she had to call, and her kitty cats. Anyway, so let's talk about you on TikTok. So do you have a favorite guy to thirst trap?
Oh God, I get this question all the time. And I guess it's okay.
Do you have a favorite kind of thirst trap? Do you like the nerdy ones? Do you like the chopping the wood?
You could watch Bradley Thor chop wood all day, every day and not get tired of it. And I think it's more because of the music choice, because he kind of goes with that like very bluesy or like mellow country. And I like being surprised, like the genuine surprises. Like I rarely will thirst trap guys multiple times because my reaction is genuine. Like Sherman Tank. I love Sherman. He's actually a really good guy. And we've talked side notes. He has a great body, tattoos, buff guy, he's chopping he's doing like the chop when he wears onesies and they're cute. I can't get a genuine reaction anymore because I've seen him so many times. So like people send him to me all the time, and it's not that I don't like him, but part of what I think of why I have become successful on there is because I'm genuinely reacting. It's not acting. I might emphasize a little bit more, but so I like the surprise ones. I love the nerd. I love the dork to hot guy one. It's very, 90s rom-com only switched over. What was that movie with Freddie Prinze Jr. and Rachel Lee? She's all that.
She's all that.
Yeah. It's like the swapping She's All That. So like I like those. I like the dancing ones because I'm a dancer. I love personally just guys that dance. That does it for me. So like I love Kingery. Kingery's one of my favorites. I'd probably put him up there. I love and the guys are just really funny and sweet. Like JJ Cadwell, who is he's actually done some modeling and he's on some book covers, and he's just a good dude. I love him.
So awesome.
So I don't have like a favorite. I know which one. I also do know which ones that get me views, and I know which ones don't get me views. And the life of a creator is you kind of have to balance that. And I need page views to make my page work. And this will actually be a shock to a lot of people. But Matt McCall, who was like the original thirst trap on there with his river dance a year ago, I get no views when I duet him.
Yeah.
People, I don't. I don't duet him.
Kind of old news.
I think it's kind of an old news thing. I couldn't tell you why. Like when I said I did on New Year's, I posted a video and said, just vote in the comments for who's going to be my last thirst trap reaction of 2020. Overwhelmingly, he won. I didn't even have to count. Yet my video of him did nothing, which was weird. So it's TikTok and the algorithm is a battle that no one will ever win or ever figure out.
Yeah.
All these algorithms.
Yeah, no.
It's like a dirty word.
I'm in a TikTok chat with some other authors, and somebody was like trying to figure it out. I'm like, oh, sweetie. And she's newer. She's only been on there for a few months. And I was like, don't
try.
You'll kill yourself.
It's not
you'll
worth
drive
it.
yourself insane. I know what times to post. I know what my higher viewer times are. I know what guys and what my audience wants. That's all I need to know.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a time suck though. But I will applaud you. You have found your niche there doing the thirst traps. And so even when you're talking about your books and releasing your books, you're still doing your niche. As a consumer of TikTok and someone that's a consumer of books, I do get frustrated sometimes when it's basically just the author, even if they're dancing or even if they're sitting at their desk and the view is different, if it's just constant their book cover, constant they're pushing their book, it's not fun for me to watch those videos. I quickly scroll past them. But I do stop and watch all your thirst traps because I always think your reactions are so fun and they're funny and it makes me want to get to know you and hang out with you and have drinks with you. Versus if you're just a creator that's there like, oh, and I wrote this and I wrote this, or this guy did this. It's like, give me
I'll
more.
give you an example. So this was a release week, and obviously it's toward the end of the week. I did 3 book posts this week. That is the most I have done in a week ever. Normally, I maybe will do 1 book post a week. But my reviews, I saw her. This is not in a weird flex. It's just, this is how I know what I'm doing has worked for me, is what you just said. I found her on TikTok. I like what she was doing. I felt like I was her best friend. I want to support her. It's like, why do you buy merch from Comedic Cody? You love him. You think he's a great guy. He's funny, and he's for book connoisseur, he's on a bunch of the covers of books that we love. And he's a great, good guy, and you want to support him, so you buy his merch. My merch is books.
Right. Right.
And
so it's not constant merch. Yep.
So, I mean, do I have merch? Yes. It's a supplement to my books, which are my main merch. That's just my business. But yeah, no, I'll maybe do 1 book post a week, but like, over the next couple weeks now, probably not much, because I'll be writing I'm going to be starting writing the next project. Maybe throw up 1 here or there just for relevancy. I
don't even mind the posts that are like, the characters are in my head and it goes with a song and they're fighting back and forth, or even if it's a video of an inspiration, like, this dude, he's gonna be in a book. I don't mind those. Like I said, it's the ones that, I have now seen your cover 60 times. You've told me you write spicy. You've told me your guys are tattoo guys. You told me your guys are in ride motorcycles. That's great. But every video is that. And I'm bored. Yeah. And I'm quickly bored.
And some people are bored with the thirst traps. And I get that. I mean, it's okay. Yeah, there are hot guys and they're going to take off their shirts.
Yeah, but
there's no surprise in how my videos are going to end.
I'm not watching it for the hot guys so much. I'm watching it for your personality. Again,
well, thank you.
It has to do with that engagement and that connection. It's, it's probably part of the reason that we all fangirl over someone like Avery Flynn. She's at the top of our genre. She's engaging. She's funny. She's nice. It keeps drawing you back. I'm going to buy her books because, I'm going to buy your book, Chelle, because you're engaging and you're funny. And I feel like we're best friends. So, we're like practically neighbors. I mean, people.
We really are. No, and the funny thing is I literally joined this app so I didn't have to learn Instagram.
So smart.
I suck at Instagram. I hate selfies. I posted a picture of this today for my cover reveal, and that took me 45 minutes. For the love of God, I'm not meant for Instagram.
It's okay.
And so last year, probably last summer, before things got real big, I'm the Inkers Con, Alessandra Torre's, digital conference. Obviously it went all digital last year. So she was offering some deals because it went from in person to digital. And it was this Instagram course. And I'm like, I can't do this. And then I'm like, you know what? Every author has already found their Instagram niche. Screw it. I'm just going to not. And I'm going to go where nobody is. And at that time, there weren't a lot of us. There was myself. There was Julia Wolf was an early TikTok author. Molly McLean was early. I'm trying to think who else. The Kennedy Fox duo, they were not early, but they weren't in this last big haul of authors that came over within the last few months.
Is it Misty Walker?
Misty Walker Misty
I
Walker
think
was
she
there.
was one of the originals.
Yeah.
Over that
so
way.
I'm like, there's not a lot of congestion here. Like, and I was also, my TikTok anniversary is in April. I wasn't releasing till September. So I did 6 months of buildup before I even had a book out.
Yeah.
Which I do think helped my release.
Right.
Sure did.
Because, I mean, how many other authors are, when you're new, you're just begging for somebody to take a chance on you.
Right.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm not gonna get better at Instagram than Candy Steiner. I'm sorry, I'm not. She takes beautiful pictures. She's a gorgeous girl. She met the love of her life on Bumble, where I'm getting all these creeper dudes. Like, I'm not gonna out Candy Steiner at Instagram. But guess what? She's not on TikTok. Maybe I'll be on TikTok. I'm kind of funny. I can be funny. I write rom-com-y. So I can have this, and I think that also helps too, is that I'm not a romantic, my shtick or my niche has a humor base to it, which is what my books have. So, I mean, I don't think what I do now would work if I was a romantic suspense or a paranormal.
Right.
I think it would be difficult.
Yeah.
I think so.
I see Jennifer said Jordan, which is Luna's World. He is probably my favorite. If I had to pick a favorite, it would probably be Jordan. But he's also like the sweetest guy in the world, and he has a cute dog.
Well, that helps. So here's the ultimate question. Who is your favorite new kid on the block?
Joey.
Really?
I'm a Joey girl. Though Danny used to follow me on Twitter, and I got real excited about that.
Oh, yeah?
Yes. Danny, I the adult version of me appreciates Danny a lot more than I did when I was 12. I've always been a Joey girl.
Here's my only claim to fame on New Kids on the Block. When I was in high school, 8th grade, I guess. So 8th grade, it was just as they had hit big, because I'm old. It was just as they hit big. And myself and 4 of my friends, we did a talent show dance that we choreographed ourselves. This was pre-theater, pre-show choir. So, just 5 girls in a backyard, and did a school talent show to the right stuff. I still have nightmares of the right stuff. Anyway.
I have been to 10 concerts.
You go.
I wanted to do the cruise this year, but I don't know what they're doing with it now.
They have
with COVID. Like, they have a cruise, yes.
Oh my.
And it's a bunch of women my age just now hanging out with their teenage loves, and now we can get drunk with them.
That's true.
It's great.
I mean, Jordan is pretty hot. That's all I'm going to say. Damn.
Jonathan has a new show on HGTV.
Really?
I did see that.
I was watching Property Brothers the other night, because what else am I going to do in release week is procrastinate and watch Property Brothers. Not schedule my social media like I should have been. And it was a preview. He flips old farmhouses.
Oh, that's my kind of show right there.
So
let's.
Oh, excuse me. The fact that I only sneezed once, I'm really proud of myself right now.
Well, bless you.
I am putting Chelle's reader group in the chat. If you are not a part of Chelle's reader group, you should totally take a gander and check it out. Lots of good stuff happens over there. Some of her author friends will pop in and out and share their information. It's a really good, safe, happy place on Facebook, which, isn't always a safe and happy place. But Chelle's group is. So you should join it.
That's a fear, man. That's a fear when you start doing this now.
Yeah.
So let's talk off the record and off track. Why did you choose football?
So actually, the idea football was always the sport that I was the most utilized in my former sports journalism days. I covered college football for years, NFL. Football was always my what I was known for. Former Heisman voter. Not many romance authors can say they also once voted for the Heisman. I can't.
That's awesome.
But
That is awesome.
so last year, was it Kristen Proby? Yes. So Kristen Proby was opening up a world around her Seattle football team.
Okay.
Somebody had mentioned, like somebody tagged me in it saying, oh, you would do well writing a sports, because football, right? And so I thought about it, and immediately, because I wasn't familiar, I've read a few of her books, but I wasn't like uber fan. I knew all of it. I knew the in and out. I knew a player I wanted to write or something like that. So I knew I would have been doing an offshoot, just kind of making it around the world if I would have done it. And I had the idea for a coach and a reporter in this forbidden love that's not, I guess, well known to be a forbidden love, but in the industry, it very much is.
Yeah.
But when I explain it to people, they're like, oh yeah, I guess that does make sense that it would be a conflict of interest that a coach was, with the reporter.
Right.
So when somebody tagged me in this post, and immediately I didn't have their names, but I had the reporter and the coach, and I had all of this and everything. And the more I thought about, and I actually had my synopsis or quick plot, submission to her, I had it written.
Mm-hmm.
I had everything down, and I was ready to hit send, and I didn't. And I was just like, I don't want to give this to anybody. Right. I want this to be mine. Worlds are great. Worlds gave me my start. I will be a champion of Worlds. I think they have helped a lot of authors. I think that they have given readers a tease back into the world that they very much enjoyed. So I'm a champion of Worlds. So I don't want this to come off that I'm not. But you lose not a lot of, but there are creative limitations with Worlds.
Right.
And so I was like, I'm thinking about this, and I'm like, I don't want to give this. Selfishly, I want to keep this.
Right.
I can already see it. I can have a team. I can create my own team. I can have as many coaches or players that I want to. I can spin off of this however many different ways. When you have a football team, you're kind of unlimited in the amount of books that you can write stemming from it.
Sure.
Right.
And so I just had this idea, and I'm like, God, I just don't want to give it to anybody. And so that's kind of how the whole thing came about, was actually because of the Kristen Proby, hey, I'm offering up a sports world romance.
I think that's fair, though, that like you came up with this idea and like you felt so like connected to it that you wanted complete ownership of it, and like you didn't want to pass it off onto something else.
Yeah.
Or it was as just something else.
I knew right away. I knew Hunter and Sadie were, out of the 3 books that I have written, those 2 were the clearest in my head of what I wanted. Sadie is very much me. She's probably the heroine that I'll always go back to. That is, I put the most of myself into. Hunter is based off of, in terms of my head, the Los Angeles Rams coach, Sean McVay. He was this up and coming coach. Like, that was my muse for Hunter the whole time. But yeah, it was just so clear. I'm just like, and I know football. Like, if there's one thing I know, it's the inner workings of football, and that I could make this a believable romance. I like the real world romances. I love it when I see reviews, when people tell me, I feel like these are problems that everyday people could have. Those are the things I like, and that's what I enjoy writing. And I knew that I could do that with them. So that's, in a very long-winded way, that's how I came about with football and the series in general.
That's great. Like, I think, and honestly, like, I love Sadie. I thought she was like, she was such a boss, like in her element. Like she knew who she was. Like, she like did not question her job. She did not question her integrity. Like, she did what she wanted to do when she needed to do it. And she's like, fuck everybody else. Yeah. I can do this.
Yeah.
Including call my boyfriend, basically call him out and tell him that he's sucking right now.
Right.
Yeah. Like that, honestly, like, I think that was one of my favorite parts. And like when he was talking to the coach and he said they had been together for so long, and he's like, she wrote this like while you guys were together. And he's like, yep, she did.
Just yeah.
And
I did.
I wanted to do that because that would show, like, that is something that is very ballsy for a relationship to do. Whether you're, even if you're in a normal relationship, to call out the person that you're with and say like, hey, you're screwing up, whether it's personally or professionally, take some stones.
Yeah.
And that was just one of the other ways for me to show her as, this is my job and I love this guy, but if we're going to make it, this is what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Well, and I love that she wasn't.
That also might have been my alternate ending. I had a few alternate endings for that book. So I don't know where I was in the writing process during that part.
But I love too, like, how she wasn't afraid to do it. Like, they both went into it open-eyed, like, talking about it, like, this is going to be completely separate. So, like, she was not afraid to write that article. She had a little, like, apprehension after it was out, like, how he was going to react. But it was all, like, she was confident in what she did. Like, this is my job. I'm doing my job 100% the way I need to do it. And if he has an issue with it, maybe he needs to do his job better.
Right.
Be better.
Be better. Okay, so I have to say that in Off Track, I loved Ruthie, who was one of Bethany's
customers.
And when she says, your naked bed buddies, I died. I love the quirky, fun, like grandma-styled characters or the kids that are super sassy. I love those characters, and I'm so glad you included Ruthie, because while Bethany's parents are fantastic, and her mom's a little extra at times in the story, I'm just like, okay, lady, someone needs to give her a Xanax for real.
She's a Southern mama.
Yeah, I did really love Ruthie. So did you have any real life inspiration for Ruthie?
No, Ruthie, actually, when I outlined the book, I believe it was actually supposed to be another hairstylist that was having this conversation with Bethany. And they were like in the break room or something. And just because I wanted her to actually have more friends than just Sadie. But then I'm like, I've learned this. It might only be my third book, but I've realized things. You put up a single person, and that person apparently needs a book.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just need to cut off. But no, it wasn't flowing the way I wanted it to. And then I'm like, well, wait a second. What if it was a client? So then it transitioned to client, and I'm like, every hairdresser I know, she might be the most hippest. I can do any ombre, balayage, anything. They have that old lady customer that they love to pieces, that they perm every week.
Yeah.
Right.
And this is going to be Bethany's. So actually, Ruthie kind of evolved as it went down. But as soon as I started rewriting it with Ruthie, I'm like, done. Ruthie's it. And then I was like, I wish I could have included her more, which is why I had her at the baby shower.
Mm-hmm.
Because I just needed one more cameo from Ruthie.
Yeah.
And Davis's name, and we're not going to spoil it or anything like that. That was a really fun piece that you added to this book. It just kept the engagement level. I loved the random names Sadie kept throwing out. Like, and honest to God, when it stated what his first initial was, I actually went and Googled male names that start with that letter. Because I wanted to see, like, okay, is there anything really extreme here that his name could be? But then you explained all the other stuff, and I'm like, anyway, if you want to know,
it's a good one.
You have to read the book.
And it's worth it just for the name.
I literally said there were 5 people who knew his name. My beta reader, and my author group chat. So those 5 are the only ones who knew it in the writing process. And I forget which ones I told them to, but I was like, I'm about to write the worst name for a male hero in romance history. And people are actually going to love it, or I'm going to get stoned.
Yeah.
It's going to be one or the other.
It's going to be an extreme.
Yeah, it's like, But I needed something where I tried to go the serious route.
Right.
And I tried to do it where it had this big meaning behind it. And at one point, oh my God, when I say this book gave me anxiety at the beginning, because I couldn't figure it out. And it's why I pantsed a lot of it, because at some point I was just like, screw it, I got to start writing. And it's not helping me to sit here and agonize about it. So, I mean, I went super full. I think at one point he was Mexican and his mother was super Christian, and it was like God, like very religious names. And I'm like, that is way too deep for me. I mean, I do humor writing. Like, this is getting way too far. But I left it so open-ended. I had one name. I could do whatever the hell I wanted to with them.
Pretty much.
My mom was like, I thought he was black.
Well, okay, I'm on with your mom, because when I first started reading his description, you talked about his darker hair, his darker eyes, the area that he was from. He was from the Pittsburgh area, or, that was close to home. And he had played D1 sports. And so all of my,
all the clues.
I was just
I could have gone either way. I pretty much flipped the coin. Let's be real here. I basically based him on when I found a stock photo that I liked. That's who he looks like. That's pretty much how I decided on what he looks like. We're getting real. How much truly have I had? I'm giving away all my state secrets right now. But yeah, I got out of that real quick, and I'm like, I need to make this part of my funny.
Yeah.
And then I figured out, and then I literally Googled worst names ever and came up with what I came up with.
No, it's a good one.
So before we ask the next question, I'm actually going to give a little bit of a commercial break for us. So we have the podcast Buzzing About Romance, and one of the ways that we fund fun events like these happy hours and the podcast is we actually have a Patreon campaign. You can join as low as $2 a month, and that includes our Drunk Book Club. Every tier level involves our Drunk Book Club. But people supporting us on Patreon allows us to have the software and all the tech to be able to do these fun events. So if you like what you're seeing and you want to join us and have more fun with us, please join us over on Patreon. We're a good time. We promise. We give lots of book recs. Some weeks there's like 200 free books to download. So
your TBR will never be sad when you're with us.
Your TBR list will never be the same if you come join us. But that's a good thing, promise.
It is. So what is next for you?
So a little bit of taking a very small break from the Fury.
Okay.
I'm going to write a summer novella that is going to be called Thirsty.
Oh, yeah.
I wondered, you were teasing that a little bit in your group.
Yeah. Just because I wanted to see. I mean, I did not let my group decide who I was writing. I already had it in my head what I wanted to do, but I kind of wanted to see if they could pick where they would go with that. Mm-hmm. Some of them won't be mad. But yeah, I'm basically going to lean into that a little bit and write a summer novella just kind of based off of a thirst trap.
How fun.
So that'll come out I'm looking at June probably for that end of June. And then back to the National Fury. So Bryce is next, who is the quarterback who had a lot of interaction with Davis in this book.
MIA.
Yes. So this book teaser, and I guess not spoiler, but for the listeners and everybody, his book is actually going to overlap a lot with Off Track.
Okay.
And when he went MIA, it's going to pick up there. So there's going to be a little bit of overlap with that timeline and then kind of bring him back into the world. So we'll have him and then Cole, which is his best friend. That'll be, as of this point, that's the last of the actual Nashville Fury series. So I'm going to probably wrap that up this year at the very latest Cole's book will come out beginning of next year.
Okay. Fun. Well, sometimes it's good to stretch yourself and, try some other avenues and subtropes and genres and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So
I mean, and
it's not like you can't come back in a couple years.
Exactly. And I like where I have set up the Fury, where I, for this podcast especially, will appreciate it. I don't know if you realize that I dropped the name of a hockey team.
I did, actually.
I noticed that.
I would love to write hockey. This gives me the door if I were to back in. I think my next series is going to be not per se a small town, but kind of one of those like group of friends interwoven series.
Those are always fun.
Just because I kind of want to, I don't want to say take a step away from sports, but I don't just want to write sports.
Well,
and I feel like if I go sports back to back, then I kind of start boxing myself in, but I can always go back to it. So I created a hockey team, and if I ever want to go back into that, I already have it there ready to go.
Yeah. So if you're still hanging with us, give us a hey in the chat so that we can pull a name for our box of goodies. If you haven't already, lick. Oh my God. Do not lick your monitor. Oh, sister. Like and subscribe.
Watching my thirst drops again?
Right? Well, yeah, my phone sometimes gets a little messy. Anyway. I know, gross. I just too much information. Words are hard. Like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We'll be back here tomorrow night with author Delta James and celebrating her latest release, Uncorked. And we have lots. She is like the queen of swag. Anyway.
She is.
So like and subscribe, and then you'll know whenever we're going live or have fun, cool events going on. And you should go back and check out and watch. We had Julia Jarrett on with us Saturday morning. And then on Tuesday, we had Marilyn Kelly and her hockey romance. So, and that was a fun time. I got to use all my theater skills. I was telling my friend who stopped by yesterday to bring my girl child some macaroons. I was like,
I want macaroons.
She was my theater teacher. And I was like, listen, I used my theater skills on Tuesday. And she's like, what? I was like, well, the author's internet kind of cut in and out. And we had to improv for like 7 minutes. And I totally was on point. And she's like, okay. She thinks I'm crazy anyway, so it's fine.
I mean, she has met you, so.
Oh, yeah. She's one of my dearest and bestest friends. Like, she's my lady, so she knew what she was in for, but she's just like, you're crazy. I'm like, I kind of am crazy. If you have any questions, throw them up in the chat. We will add them in. So we've got May and Carolina, and Jennifer is still with us,
and
which
Susie.
Is good. I'm glad you're
Tornado is not there.
Miss Susie is with us. So if you're still watching, go ahead and give us a hey so we know you're here. Like I said, I have coffee and chocolate-covered pretzels.
So thinking of chocolate-covered pretzels, I'm just going to say this out. So we were talking about Easter and candy at dinner the other night, and I have 2 little kids. My oldest is 9. He'll be 10 this year. 10 in like less than like a week, which is insane. And so he's like, so we should make chocolate covered pretzels, but we should make them white and then cover them in milk chocolate and then cover them in dark chocolate. I'm like, that's a lot of chocolate on a pretzel.
Yeah.
He wants to lay the chocolates.
That was great.
I was like,
yeah, he was very excited about the idea. I was like, I don't know if we can do that.
Okay, so it looks like we've got 4 that would like to enter into our giveaway. Anybody else want in for chance for coffee? And I'm totally pretentious. It's whole bean. So when you get it, you'll either have to take it and grind it or use your blender. Blenders will grind. Oh, Danica's here. Danica. I told her, I sent her coffee and I'm like, I'm pretentious. It's full bean. And she's like, it's okay. I owned a grinder. I'm like, okay. So, I'm such a coffee snob. So you, Chelle, you like the Starbucks caramel Frappuccino, but are you a like coffee drinker, or do you just like the sweet?
I'm more of the sweet stuff. Yeah, I'm more of the sweet kind of coffee. My roommate in Alabama, oh my God, she drinks like that super dark Starbucks roast.
Yeah,
and it wasn't strong enough like, so I lived with a coffee person. I'm more of I like the sweets. Just give me 1 cup in the morning. I prefer it iced.
Yeah.
I actually did buy myself, I got for Christmas an iced coffee maker. It's like a 1 cup, like a 1 serving, like basically a Keurig for iced coffee.
Nice.
It's amazing. I use that every morning. But yeah.
My girl child is obsessed with iced coffee. We buy all the cold brews in the grocery and we DoorDash. Yeah. That's the only reason that Buzzing About Romance has TikTok is the girl child. If I buy her smoothies or have coffee delivered to our house for her, she will make TikToks. But like her current obsession is the Chick-fil-A frozen ice cream coffee. She's obsessed with it. Obsessed with it. They use their vanilla ice cream and then mix their coffee in it. So
interesting.
It reminds me. Okay, so Chelle, is in Ohio. Did you have racks when you were growing up?
I had racks when I was.
We had racks, yeah.
They had them in
so do you remember
too.
There's Jamocha chip shakes that they used to have?
Yes.
Okay, so that's the Chick-fil-A thing tastes like a Jamocha shake from racks.
Interesting. I haven't heard about a Jamocha shake in a minute, but I remember it.
Yeah. I remember racks.
A BBC. That was my favorite. Anyway. Anyway. This is what it's fun to grow up in Ohio, right?
Hey, they had those in Pennsylvania. I mean, granted, I'm on the border of Ohio.
I'd say I'm actually closer to her than you.
Right, right. But I drink more beer. I'm just saying. I mean,
well, I mean, she only has Icy Light to pick from, so I wouldn't drink it either.
Yeah.
I live in a very heavy craft brewing area, so I have a lot of good beer around me.
Thank goodness, because I think it blew up because everybody was tired of Icy Light.
Probably, yeah. And Rolling the Rock was far enough away; it didn't matter.
Well, I remember the days of where you had to drive to PA to get Yingling.
Yes,
Yingling wasn't sold in Ohio, and at the time I worked at a radio station and I was in sales, and I had all the sports bars. Shocking that would be my clients, and one of them, the day that they went where Yingling was served in Ohio, turned every tap into Yingling.
Yeah.
He had like the darker one. There was like 3 different kind of brews of it. But yeah, it was a big deal when you could
Yingling came to
Yingling in Ohio. Yeah. I remember
seriously.
I was like, I went to North Carolina and I'm like, how can I get it down here? And it's like 5 minutes that way. My county is on the PA border and I can't get it.
Yeah. I remember when it blew up, people around here were like insane, crazy. Like it was gone as soon as it got put on the shelf. They're like, look, we got you. And I'm thinking, okay, people, I get it. I mean, I get it, but.
And it was one of those where it's a good beer, but it was more of you want what you can have. Yeah, very romance trope of Yingling.
Yes.
Very romance of their marketing.
It's true.
Very much so. Chelle, pick a number between 1 and 5 for us.
3.
3? Oh, Jennifer, you are the winner of my box of goodies. I hope you like coffee. I'm going to put our email in the chat, and you can just email me your address, and I will get this back. Whoa, the words got hard all of a sudden.
It's that bushwhacker.
Probably.
They pack a punch.
Yeah, I'm feeling it. I mean, it's funny because, so in our house, we're big bourbon and whiskey drinkers, and there are certain bourbons or whiskeys that we cannot get in Ohio because of the way the liquor laws are and everything like that. But they're whiskeys from freaking Kentucky. Like, I can drive 3 hours to Kentucky straight down I-75.
Yep.
But I can't get that here. It's so stupid. Anyway, so Jennifer, send us your mailing address and I will send out the straw and the stickers and the coffee and the chocolates to you here soon so that you have it. Chelle, is there any final questions for Miss Chelle for anybody that's still hanging out with us? Chelle, congratulations on the release of Off Track. Congratulations.
Yes.
Thank you.
Excited for you.
Thank you.
We
appreciate it. And thank you for having me. This was fun.
Well, thanks for coming on.
Hey, listen, this saved me from obsessively update. refreshing Amazon for the last hour.
That's
And-
fantastic. We're glad we could be a distraction for you.
Yes,
Exactly.
you were the best
And we were a fun
distraction.
distraction too.
We
You
are.
absolutely are. This was great.
Anyway, so if you guys are around tomorrow night, come back and join us as we celebrate with Delta James. Thank you, Chelle. Congratulations on off.
Thanks
Thank you.
again.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.